And as I'm laying there, the praying mantis insect looking thing comes around side of the table, grabs my head from behind, turns it to the left, and then sticks a large needle into my neck behind my ear. And then after that, it got totally like hazy, fuzzy, and I just felt like warm, and like all the pain just got like went away.
A Kodega is a guide and a storyteller, escorting you through the night, lighting the way, warding off thieves, ghosts, demons, and other oddities. Along the journey, his companions would often share with him the most curious of stories that he'd record in his codex. Perhaps you just might find yourself traveling with a Kodega and sharing one of yours. Click that like. If you're new here, subscribe and have the bell hit for notifications to stay up to date on all of the new content. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. It's Rye here, your guide on this adventure. Tonight's curiosity, we're going to be talking about alien abductions, aliens, UFOs. We're going to get into it all with Zack. And just some regular housekeeping to take care of. I just want to say again, thank you to everyone who is watching, listening. Those who are listening, like I've been saying, there's a lot more content on the YouTube channel. So if you ever get a chance, come stop by, take a look. There is a lot more content that you will find there if you're not getting your fill. Also, I have a Patreon and also a merch store. So in the Patreon, $5 gets you shout out. It's pretty much a thank you for helping me out. $25 will get you 2 t-shirts, a mug, and a bag. And, you know, that's stretched out over the year. And what that does, it helps me to produce these podcasts, to make these podcasts. And it also keeps everything in front, up front. No paywall. I don't like paywalls. I like keeping everything out there for free. So it helps me out. Now in the merch store, I got everything from t-shirts to sweaters to hoodies to hats, stickers, and of course, I got candles. Yeah, I made some candles. So I definitely want you guys to check that out. All right, without further ado, I'm going to bring Zack on. All right,
Hey,
Zack, welcome to Kodega's Codex of Curiosities.
thanks for having me.
Yes, thanks for coming on. I know we're playing a little bit of some schedule. We had some scheduling difficulties, and we finally made this happen. So that is fantastic.
That's okay.
Why don't you tell our listeners and our viewers a little bit about yourself and where they can find you?
Sure. Yeah. My name is Zach. I'm a husband, father. I got 2 kids. I'm living out here in Washington State. I created Project Contact to teach others how to make contact with non-human intelligences through meditation, and then I got some pretty cool stuff going on with that. And yeah, I was abducted by aliens, and I've had tons of crazy experiences with them.
Wow, it just jump right into it, right? Is exactly. It's abducted by aliens. That's that is an experience that I'm sure some people want, some people don't want, and some people just have no idea. So actually, let's go on with this. You're saying you're the creator of Project Contact. Is that like
Mhm.
I'm assuming that's something along CE5 is what
Yeah.
it's similar to.
Yeah, it's
Do
a
you want to?
CE5 project. It's a way of mixing science with spirituality. I'm working with a team right now of developing a machine that uses Tesla bifilar coils and does some really cool stuff to entrain the brain to a certain brainwave frequency that allows for certain consciousness phenomena to happen. And
Wow,
it's going to be pretty cool.
that is that's fascinating. Now, when you go like when you do this, the when you go out and we'll say CE5, let's call it CE5.
Mhm.
When you do now, are you doing it with a group? Are you doing it solo or
So, so right now I've been doing it solo. I'm starting small, doing some local stuff around here, Washington State. I got a few locations lined up to do some tests, and once I have this stuff uh, ready, I'll be able to go out and get some data.
cool, cool. And then are you going to when you go out to do these data collection, are you going to bring anybody else out with you as well?
Oh yeah. I'll have a small team eventually,
Cool.
but still in the works.
That is awesome. That's very ambitious, and I think it's great. You know, we're all out there trying to figure out what's really going on and what these UFOs really are and what they want. So, with that being said, you know, you said that you were abducted. Why don't we start
Yeah.
there? Tell me about your first abduction then.
So for the longest time, it was a nightmare in the back of my mind. I went through life just thinking this nightmare just never made sense. It kept happening. And when I got to about my late teens, early adulthood, I started questioning it more and more. And as I got deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole, I started connecting the dots between certain things I've been reading about and what this what I have now come to understand is it's a screen memory that happened. Um, Dug a little bit deeper, and I saw a post that someone was offering pro bono hypnoregression sessions to anybody who claimed to have been abducted. And I had, some things clicked in my mind with this certain screen memory thing that happened. And I was like, you know what? I'll give it a shot. I told him my story. I told him about the recurring memory dream, and we went through the process. And I figured out I was abducted in 2001 when I was 6 years old. um, it was late at night. Well, let me back up first.
Of
Weird thing
course.
is, I actually found a New Fork report around the exact time that this had happened. The times of the night line up, everything. I could send it to you. It was late at
Definitely,
night.
definitely.
I'd woken up in bed and a bright bluish white light filled my entire room. Um, and it left absolutely no shadows. That's one of the things I noticed about this weird light. And then off to my right near the window, these two small grays just appeared, just materialized out of nowhere, wearing these like skin tight, glittering suits. It looked like they were wearing like thousands of little disco balls all over their bodies. It was just like shimmering, glittering, shining. And in a telepathic voice, one of them told me, "Come with us." And I felt like I was either hypnotized or like under some kind of control. I got out of bed, I walked over to them, and then the next thing I knew, I was just floating up through the sky. I was floating up through the sky. I could see the night sky below me, the city lights. I could feel the wind. Um, and
Just
as I'm going up into this light,
I have
it
a
it blew.
question.
Yeah,
Yeah. So when you were floating up, did you pass through the wall? Did you pass through the walls of your house? Do you recall that, or that's not
I,
something?
I don't remember passing through any
Okay.
walls. I just know I was standing next to them by the window, and the next thing I
Mhm.
know, I'm just flying up through the sky.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Sorry for interrupting. Please continue.
You're good. Yeah. Once I was flying up through into this light, I found myself in this large hangar area. Um, I arrived at like a large circular raised pad, and these grays led me off to the left where there was a bunch of these silver orbs parked along the wall. And as they were leading me next to those orbs, I got scared and I had run off to my right down a large hallway that I'd seen. And as I'm walking or as I'm running through this hallway, I walk up to this window, and as I'm looking out the window, I could see just like the darkness of space. I could see the earth below me to the left. It looked like I could see like the haze and the shining light of the border of the planet. If you've ever
Okay.
seen like pictures of the
Yep.
Earth from space, you'd see that haze that glow of the atmosphere. I could see that. I didn't see any stars. I got scared more, ran back down the hallway a little bit more, and I had come to like a junction where this tall human-looking being was kneeling down on their knees, looking at like some boxes or something. And as I'm running past, they grabbed me, and another telepathic voice told me like, "Whoa, hey, you're not supposed to be here." And at that point, the two grays had come by, picked me up, and I'm being held in like a gooseneck uh, hold with my arms, and I couldn't move. I was completely paralyzed. Um, and they were either carrying me or floating me back down the hallway and led me to a room where this giant insectoid being was over by this science looking station. It had like screens, beakers, tubes, all the different kinds of shit just lined up on this table. And the Greys had laid me down on this metallic, like inclined table, and as I'm laying there, the praying mantis insect looking thing comes around side of the table, grabs my head from behind, turns it to the left, and then sticks a large needle into my neck behind my ear. And then after that, it got totally like hazy, fuzzy, and I just felt like warm, and like all the pain just got like went away. And the Greys took me up off the table and then led me to another room where they handed me a small black box, probably like the size of a small, like almost like a cigar box looking thing. And as I opened the black box, it just like exploded with light and like the room just disappeared. I couldn't, like, all I could see was like this white light. And it was like giving me a large download of information of like different screens of images of memories, like mountainscapes, symbols, just a bunch of random stuff. And like what really stuck out to me was a vision and memory of my previous past life where I had lost my family in a car accident. And then, due to the grief, I had taken my own life. Once that had played through, or either I shut the box or they shut the box. They took the box away, and then they led me back down the hallway to this pad, and then floated me back down through the sky into my room, and then laid me back down in bed. And as they're walking away, one of them turns back and tells me in another telepathic voice, like, "We'll be seeing you again soon." And then they just blink out of existence. The light is gone, and it's just left with like this eerie quiet, and I'm just sitting in bed like for like the rest of the night.
Wow, that is quite the experience and quite the hypnotic regression to to have this download and kind of like almost like this veil lifted and for you to remember all this. I guess is the best way
Mhm.
to say that. I do have some questions as well. So
Cool, yeah.
this first, well, not the first, but that one humanoid that was kind of kneeling down. Would you be able to describe that type of humanoid? Were they like a larger gray, or were they?
No, they looked human. They looked human, but they had more of a, androgynous look to them. Um,
Okay.
they had the longer hair, like brownish hair.
Hmm.
They had very angular, smooth skin, jawline. Like they had a very large brow. They were like almost like ashy pale, like my skin tone, but like a little bit more pale.
Okay.
Um,
Wow.
and they were wearing like these coveralls of like
Okay.
just like solid blue coverall, almost like what a mechanic would wear at like a tire shop or a mechanic shop. Like
Okay.
a bunch of pockets everywhere lined up. And they were tall, maybe like 6.5 foot tall, 7 foot.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. not super tall, but tall enough that the
Tall enough to be
they stand out.
noticeably like, hey, that you're really tall.
Yes, yes, exactly. Wow. Okay. And then when you were taken back, well, you said when you were kind of grabbed by the Greys, and to be taken back to the science room or medical room, we'll call it.
Mhm.
Now, you said you couldn't move. Was that because of the hold they had on you, or was it some sort
Yeah,
of
there was some
was
kind of hold they had on me.
mhm.
My arms were locked in place, like I couldn't move.
Like I'm not saying like a, but not like a physical hold, like not like they had their arm on you, but something like psychologically was causing you to be in
I couldn't honestly tell. I didn't know.
okay.
My gaze was like forward. I couldn't move. I couldn't see like what they were doing. I don't know if they were holding me or like I was being floated or what.
Hmm.
But I know I was
And
off the ground. I was off the ground for sure.
jeez. Um, and then the mantis creature. Can you describe that a little bit? I'd love to hear a little bit more about the this mantis creature, this mantis being.
It's hard to describe, really.
Mhm.
It looked like a insect being. Like it was tall.
Yeah.
It was really tall.
Okay.
Um, it had
And
like a
what
white.
about hands? Like, what type of like hands did it have, or do you recall that?
They looked like hook hands almost.
Okay.
They looked like hook
Okay.
hands.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
and it was wearing like almost looked like a vest, like a
Hmm.
shirt, like a coat or vest or something around it, like its abdomen, chest area. And it was just it walked around, grabbed my head, and just stuck the needle in it. And after that, it was fuzzy. I got to briefly see it.
Wow. Okay. Really interesting.
Like
Now,
I was like being moved along through some kind of process or something. Like they brought me to the room, sat me down, it did its job, and then took me out. Like I didn't get to stop and chat.
okay, okay, and so yeah, so after they stuck that injection in behind your ear there, did they did they move you on from that point, or was do you know if like I know you said things went fuzzy, but do you know if there's any other procedures or anything else along that line?
That's all I can remember. There's bits and
Hmm.
pieces that are like from being grabbed and led to the hallway and
Yeah.
then arriving to that room, there's a gap in my memory.
Okay. Okay.
So I don't know if I saw something that they didn't want me to see or
Mhm.
something like that. I don't know.
Okay. And what purpose do you believe that that abduction was for? Like, I know a lot of people have ideas, and what do you
Yeah, I mean,
believe?
I've got my own theories,
Yeah.
that I
I,
was taken to be shown this black box for some reason that now helps me realize my own karmic cycle living
mm,
here.
okay. Yeah.
Um, just kinda helps me live my life a little bit better.
Maybe not to make the same, not necessarily the same
The
mistake, but I
same
mean
karmic
like that.
mistakes in the previous life, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's really interesting. And then they said, "We'll see you again." Now,
Mhm.
I'm curious. Did they see you again that you know
Yeah,
of that you can remember?
mhm, yeah. I don't know if it was them specifically, but I've had
Mhm.
other visitations with my wife while we had one back in Chicago, and then we had one when we moved out here to Washington.
All right. Let's go into those ones then.
Yeah, the first one, when I first started doing my CE5 stuff, I had a couple like out of body experiences where I was like pulled out of my own body by these beings and like brought to like a place of all white. They gave me a bunch of like information, and then a while later, we my wife and I had just stopped watching TV. It was probably like 10, 11 o'clock at night. We were getting ready to go to bed.
Yeah.
She goes to the bedroom, and then I go to the kitchen to grab my drink off the table. And as I flip the light on in the kitchen, I can see through the sliding glass door. The curtains are a little drawn back, so I can kind of see outside a little bit. This thing just standing there looking at me through the little crack in the blinds, and when the light turned on and hit it, it took off running. And we're on the second story, right? We're on the second floor, so we got a balcony. It's standing on our balcony, our second floor balcony,
Okay.
and this balcony is not big. It's probably the size of like a very small bathroom. Like it's very small. It's barely big enough to put a barbecue on it.
Okay.
It gets up on this railing, which is probably the size of rebar,
Yeah.
and then gets up onto our roof in less than 2 seconds. without touching the barbecue that's out there,
Wow.
and runs along our roof, and I could hear it running along the roof. I run to the bedroom to tell my wife what I'd seen, and she had told me I'd looked like I'd seen a ghost. Definitely wasn't a ghost. I could see its leg is what stood out to me the most. It was very thin but very muscular, and
Mhm.
you could see the tendon that connects the thigh to the calf, like behind the
Okay.
knee. Those two little tendons that stick out. It
Yep.
was very
Yep.
prominent, very large tendons. I could see those. That's what stood out to me the most. It was pale, like grayish white color. And
Wow.
all through the night, we were staring out the window, trying to like see where this thing is, see if it's still in our roof. And we just kept feeling like we were being watched, and kept hearing like this metallic hissing noise, almost like shocks releasing pressure. But there was nothing in the backyard to be making that noise. Like it was coming
Mhm.
from nowhere. And just for like maybe 2 hours, we just kept feeling like we were being watched, kept hearing this, and it's like nothing was happening. So we just went to bed.
Yep.
My wife wakes up in the middle of the night, probably like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, to go turn our fan on that was in the bedroom. Gets back into bed, and as she's getting back into bed, she looks over and sees this same being crouched down in front of our bed by the dresser, staring at us. And she gets scared, grabs her phone to turn the light on, to like shine her phone light at it,
Yeah.
shines at it for like a brief second, and this thing just, she says, it just vanished. It just disappeared, just blipped out of existence.
Whoa. That
Yeah.
is that is crazy. So I have some ideas about what that creature was. Like
Yeah. She
what
said it had a egg-shaped head with
Mhm.
large black like almond-shaped eyes. It was
What
pale white.
do you believe it to be an alien, or do you believe it to be some sort of cryptid, or what do you believe that that thing was?
I, from that description, I don't think it's a cryptid. If it
There
is, I don't
there
know what one it is. I think it was an alien. I think it was some kind of alien visiting us. I don't know what kind, but it was something.
So I've heard this description before, and this goes to a pale crawler. I don't know if you've ever heard of a pale crawler. This
I've heard the
is
crawlers of being like a creepy pasta, like a story.
mm, that is until you talk to the people who've actually seen it. Yes.
Mhm,
So I had a lady named Missy who I've been talking to quite often, and I have interviewed her. She has seen one of these creatures, and it is pale, like a pale skin, and the skin is like stretched over it. It does
mhm,
crouch over quite a lot, and yeah, the creepy pasta is there's another name for it. There's the pale crawler, and then there's another name for it. Of course, now I'm just drawing a blank of what that is. But of course, there is a creepy pasta about it, but
mhm.
there's more to it than that. So I do believe that these creatures do exist.
Like the ones
Um,
like for the crawlers, they're always in like dense forests and shit like that. But like this was in like the suburbs of Chicago.
and
Like
the
there's no forest, you know what I mean? So that's why I don't think it's a cryptid.
yes, and a lot of times, a rake. That was the other
Oh, the
term.
rake. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
So
that's it.
that is my thought. Now, that sound that you're referencing, sorry, loud motorbikes driving by right now, but
You're okay.
that sound that you were referencing, the hissing sound, is very
Mhm,
reminiscent of so deer sometimes do that to alert other deers that there's danger in the area, or so yeah, like a deer will do this like this hissing sound, and it'll let these other
I
animals
don't think
know.
I've ever heard that call before. I don't know. I've never heard of that.
So
I'll have to look that up.
the only reason I've heard this is because I was just listening to my friend who has a Planet 412, Matt Emch. He was interviewing these two gentlemen who had an encounter with a dog man, and this dog
Oh,
man was making this exact sound that you're talking about. And the reason why I know that
interesting.
deer do that is because they were saying like they're avid hunters, they're avid outdoorsmen, and they're saying they're describing the sound, and they said this is exactly the sound that these deer would make as well, and that this dog man was making. I'm not saying that that was a dog man, but I'm just saying it is some sort of warning. I would say it's some sort of sound of warning, maybe warning another creature as well.
So it's funny and weird that you say that because my next encounter, I was going to tell you the one that happened here in Washington.
Okay.
It was the first night we moved out here from Chicago, and we get into town probably around midnight, and we go to bed, and I just couldn't sleep that night for some
Hmm.
reason. And all of a sudden, I'm laying in bed with my wife, and I look out to our bedroom window, and I'm seeing what looks like a dog man,
Wow.
tall,
Okay.
tall thing. Had like the face of a dog, almost like a German Shepherd mixed
Yeah.
with like some other mutt. And it was leaning down, peering in from the top right corner of the window. So like this thing was massive and
Jeez.
freaked me out. I don't
Hmm.
know. I thought like some weird ass demon was like peering. Like it was scary, right?
Yeah.
I freeze. Like my heart gets that like sinking feeling. Like you
Hmm.
just like that terror feeling.
Of
And I couldn't move for like 5, 10 seconds. I'm just thinking like, what the hell? Because when it saw me see it, it
yeah.
left.
It bolted out of there.
And right. And when I'm done being paralyzed from fear of seeing this weird ass thing peering in, I go up to the window to see if I can still see it.
Yeah.
That's when I start seeing all of these like small, like invisible, almost like it had like active camo,
Okay.
almost looked like
Mhm.
the Predator,
Like
kind
the
of. You know what I
Predator.
mean?
100%. I do. Yeah.
Shimmer, that shimmer, invisible, but you can like still see the outline of them. 6 or 7 of them coming down off the side of the hill into our yard, and I'm like hyperventilating at this point, like breathing through this experience, trying to like stay still and like observe.
Yeah.
And that wakes my wife up, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm telling her like, "There's something outside." And she gets up out of bed, comes over to the window, and she's seeing these things like running through our yard, and they're acting like they're playful or something. They're probably like 3, 4 foot tall, and they're just like just invisible. You can't even see them, and they're just running through the yard. And I pulled my phone out and I start live streaming to the Discord group I was in at the time that dealt with
Okay.
UFOs and shit like that. And as I'm recording one of these things like run up to the window like super quick and like scares me and like knocks me off balance, and I fall back. And as I get up to grab my phone to record it while it's standing in front of the window, my arm, my wrist, and my hand, like from the wrist up, does that same gooseneck hold, and it's just absolute pain. And it was
What?
only the hand that I went to go grab the phone to record it. And then once it takes off, my hand is back to normal. I grab my phone and I get finished recording. Great thing is the footage is all corrupt,
Of course it is. Of
right?
course it is. Yeah.
Right, of course it is. So I remember I took a few screenshots of the video that came, like the bits of it that were clear.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
had a couple screenshots. I'll have to dig those up, but you can see one of these things, like its head. It looked like a small, squinched up, almost like it had like the shape of like a bean.
Yes.
If
Yes.
you took a bean sideways, like horizontally, it has like the little ridges that come up. That's what its
Yes.
head looked like.
Really?
Yeah, and it was like a lavender color.
Oh, crazy. Okay. That
Weird.
that
Yeah.
is something I have not heard of. I've heard of the active camouflage, of course,
Mhm.
but usually that is more in reference to Sasquatch or Bigfoot, possibly even Dogman. But you did say a Dogman, and then you see these.
Something like a dog. I don't know if it was or not, but like it had like a
Mhm.
dog, like a canine looking features to it.
Was there anything else discernible from the Dogman? Like, were you able to, like, I know it's at nighttime, were you able to see color or eyes or
It's
anything?
black, black. It was just like you could barely make it out.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was in the shadows, like you could barely see it.
Jeez. That is intense. What is your thought on these little, camouflage creatures?
Your guess is as good as mine. I talked to my native buddy, and he told me that they're called
Duendes?
uh, No, I'm
No.
spacing on the name right now, but he told me that they were a race of beings that lived on this land before the white man came over
Okay.
and took all the land, and they were hunted, and
Okay.
so they stopped interacting with the tribes and the people, and went into hiding while like the colonials were making their way west, and they've been in hiding ever since. That's
Okay.
what I was told. That's what he told me.
I'm trying to.
Other people,
I have an idea maybe of something what it might be. There is something similar to that here in because I was saying that I live here in Mexico, but there is little beings as well that can camouflage themselves, and they are called alushas here. Now, I'm wondering if it might have something, maybe something to do like called pukwudgie. Is it? Does that name ring a bell?
mm-mm.
Okay, that's what I was saying because there's these little people as well that used to be friendly and used to trade with the natives. But then there was some sort of disagreement, or and now they don't do that, and they're kind of more of like tricksters of sorts.
Mhm.
And yeah, and if you're nice to them, they'll be nice to you. But if you're not, they're not going to be nice to you.
Mm. Okay.
Wow. Wow, yeah, I would love to see the screenshots. I know there's screenshots of a
Yeah, I'll dig them out. They're on my
of a
Google Drive.
corrupted
I'll
video.
have to dig them out and find them.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I'll put them up here on the video on when we're as we're talking as well. But that is fascinating. So your first night to Washington and this happens.
Yeah.
Was there anything else? Anything else has happened recently or after that?
Nothing with like UFOs or aliens. I did see a couple of UFOs since I've been here back in Washington.
Okay.
Nothing, nothing too crazy. I haven't had any more visitations since then.
Hmm.
My wife did see like a 3, 4 foot tall shadow creature, shadow being, like
Okay.
race across our yard super fast during broad daylight. Um, we've been seeing these little, like almost marble-sized orbs of light fly through our house recently.
Wow. Okay, that's
Mostly like
interesting.
coming out of the kids' bedrooms. Like so they
Hmm.
fly super quick and they just like disappear.
Wow. Have
Nothing. I don't know. Like nothing alien, I guess.
have your children ever mentioned anything along that line of like seeing something or talking to a invisible their imaginary friend or something like
Not
that?
yet. Not yet, but our 4-year-old did one point say that he was seeing monsters in the closet or something like that. And we're very
Hmm.
spiritual people, so we're teaching him how to take some sage and smudge his room and say, "Bye bye, monsters. This is my room."
Perfect. Yes, empowerment. That is
Yeah.
huge. Yeah.
Mhm.
I totally agree with you. Yeah, it's that is a smart thing to do, and it's kind of strange. Like back when I was growing up, if I said there was monsters in my closet, my parents would be like, "Yeah, sure there are," and close the doors and walk away, kind of thing. But
Mhm.
I agree with you now. It's kind of like I'm. My daughter said she had seen a ghost or saw something moving, and for me, I find it very difficult because I'm like, how do I not scare her? To fear it, but
Right?
also to tell her that yes, I do believe you, but you need to be able to protect yourself as well. So, for
Exactly.
me, I find it's a fine line to walk, and I think what you were doing is fantastic as well. Like getting the
Thank you.
sage
Yeah.
out and smudging and
Mhm.
empowering your 4-year old to tell them that no, you're not welcome here.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. Well, so Zach, is there anything else? Have you ran into anything else, or any other interesting things that you have found out lately, or anything along that line, including with your
No, man.
project?
I've just been focused on my project right now. I recently saw somebody post offering up a an open source aerial tracking software that you can run on any camera. Apparently, any camera will hook up to the software, and you can aim it at the sky, and it'll track the movement of objects and give you like real time data analysis for like what the object is. And it's really cool. I'm
Wow.
gonna
Okay.
hopefully get some funding and get a better computer that can run that kind of software that can
Definitely.
help me with the project.
That would be fantastic. What is your completion date? When do you think you're going to have everything up and running for your project
Oh, I mean,
contact? And
I already have equipment. I have night vision binoculars that can record in 4K. I
okay,
mean, I've got DSLR cameras. I got all different kinds of lenses and stuff. Like I've been recording. I have some footage posted to my YouTube channel. It's Project Contact on YouTube. You can look at some of the footage I have there.
yeah,
My project's happening right now.
okay.
I've just as a father of 2 kids, it's hard to find time
To get
to
out,
go
of
out and
course.
spend a night out in the middle of Washington nowhere to record the night sky for a few hours. So it's hard to do that, but it's moving along. It's moving on slowly but surely, and I've got a lot of support from people in this group that I'm talking to right now.
That is fantastic. Now, with all this equipment, have you ever thought about going out and trying to see if finding Dogman or finding Sasquatch at all? Is that
That's
something
the
that has
plan.
ever been interested in as well?
That's the plan. It's I do a little ghost hunting on the side.
Yep.
I've got my interest in the paranormal as well, so the plan is to go to different hotspots, like paranormal hotspots for
Yeah.
mainly right now for UFOs, but I'm also looking for different like ghosts, cryptids, Bigfoot, whatever's out there. I'll be using different resonant frequencies and tones to blast into the surrounding areas and forests to
Interesting.
kind of attract the paranormal because I've got a couple different sound frequencies that are rumored to attract different paranormal activity.
Okay.
So I'll be working with that, doing some fun stuff with that at different areas around Washington, and we'll see what happens.
That sounds awesome. I actually had another question here. What was it? Now, okay, connection of cryptids or paranormal with the UFOs. Do you believe
Hmm.
there's a connection?
Everything's connected. Everything's connected. Paranormal is an umbrella term, and UFOs, aliens, cryptids, Bigfoot, whatever you want to go out and find, it's all there. It's all connected.
I agree totally. I know there's with the cryptid community, there's usually like two camps. There's the camp that it's flesh and blood, and there's no like it's just some sort of creature that just we've never really noticed. And then there's the other
Hmm.
camp that is, you know, yeah, it can be flesh and blood, but it also has a spiritual type connections. And
Oh yeah.
there's been many sightings where we've cited Sasquatch or Bigfoot, and there's been orbs sighted, and then UFOs as well, which is really
Hmm.
fascinating too. So I wish you the best of luck in this endeavor. And if
Thank you.
is there anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
No, not really. I've talked about all I all I can say really.
Zach, I want to say thank you so much for coming on, and I really appreciate you giving me your time to come on to Codega's Codex of Curiosities.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Okay, I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
All right, that was Zach. Multiple experiences, not just being abducted by aliens, but Dogman. I personally think Pale Crawler, though it did have a alien-esque type face to it, which was interesting. And then these camouflage beings as well. I think that's something I definitely want to look into. And just, I'll ask Zach if you can come up with that name. And I'll put that in the show notes as well. So really fascinating, really interesting experiences. And I wish them all the best in, trying to get some answers. Because I think, isn't that what we're all trying to do? We're all trying to find some answers just to make some sense of this. But what I do find is whenever we get one answer, we end up with 4 more questions or more. So I wish them the best with that one. And on that note, everybody, if you like this show, make sure you share, like, and comment. I really appreciate that. And keep your curiosity wandering, and always ensure to keep the light lit. I look forward to our next adventure together as we navigate the mysteries that lie ahead. Until our paths cross again, keep your curiosity wandering, and ensure the light remains lit.